COP26 Climate Conference and why it is important. This year marks the 26th Conference of Parties and will be held in the Scottish Event Campus in Glasgow. The UK will host the COP26 UN Climate Change Conference from October 31 to November 12. The event will see leaders from more than 190 countries, thousands of negotiators, researchers, and citizens come together to strengthen a global response to the threat of climate change. It is a pivotal movement for the world to come together and accelerate the climate action plan. This year marks the 26th Conference of Parties, thus the name COP26, and will be held in Scottish Event Campus in Glasgow. The conference comes months after the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change published its assessment report on Earth's climate, highlighting heat waves, droughts, extreme rainfall, and sea level rise in the coming decades. Formation of COP. The Conference of Parties comes under the United Nations Climate Change Framework Convention (UNFCCC), which was formed in 1994. The UNFCCC was established to work towards stabilization of greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere. It laid out a list of responsibilities for the member states, which included formulating measures to mitigate climate change, cooperating in preparing of adaptation to the impact of climate change, promoting education, training, and public awareness related to climate change. COP1 and COP25. COP members have been meeting every year since 1995. The UNFCCC has 198 parties, including India, China, and the USA. The first conference was held in 1995 in Berlin. At COP3 held in Kyoto, Japan in 1997, the famous Kyoto Protocol was adopted. It commits the member states to pursue limitation or reduction of greenhouse gas emission. It entered into force on 16 February 2005 and there are 192 parties in the Kyoto Protocol. India hosted the 8th COP from October 23 to November 1, 2002 in New Delhi. The conference laid out 7 measures including strengthening of technology transfer in all relevant sectors including energy, transport, and the promotion of technological advances through research and development and the strengthening of institutions for sustainable development. One of the most important conference of COP21 took place from November 30 to December 11, 2015 in Paris, France. Member countries agreed to work together to limit global warming to well below 2, preferably to 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial level. COP26 goals. According to the UNFCCC, COP26 will work towards 4 goals. Secure global net zero by mid-century and keep 1.5 degrees within reach. At the National Conference on COP26 Charter of Actions held on October 13, Natalie Toms, Chief Economist, Climate and Development Counselor at the British High Commission in India, said, the UK has already committed to bringing 78% emissions reduction by 2035 and is on the road to net zero by 2050. India has also taken important steps with its 450 gigawatt renewable target and national hydrogen mission. Different countries will have different pathways and we recognize the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities. The UNFCCC recommends that countries accelerate the phase out of coal, curtail deforestation, speed up the switch to electric vehicles and encourage investment in renewables to meet this goal. At the National Conference on COP26 Charters of Actions, Navroj K. Dubas, Senior Fellow at Center for Policy Research, detailed what India could do to reach its target. It is time for India to update its nationally determined contributions or NDCs. NDC detailed the various efforts taken by each country to reduce the national emission. Sector by sector plans are needed to bring about development. We need to decarbonize the electricity transport sector and start looking at carbon per passenger mile. Aggressively figure out how to transition our coal sector. Time may have come for India to announce that we will not be building any more coal-fired powered plants beyond what is in the pipeline. India also needs to ramp up legal and institutional framework of climate change. adapt to protect communities and natural habitats. Countries will work together to protect and restore ecosystems and build defenses, warning systems and resilient infrastructure and agriculture to avoid loss of homes, livelihood and even lives. Mobilize finance. To deliver on our first two goals, developed countries must make good on their promise to mobilize at least 100 billion in climate finance per year by 2020, notes the UNFCCC. Annie Mary Trevelyan, UK Secretary of State for International Trade, said in a release, with the impact of COVID 19, it is vitally important we work together to scale up finance from all sources and improve access. We must push for all countries to have national adaptation plans in place and to produce adaptation communication, sharing best practices to help burn ambition into action. Work together to deliver. Another important task at the COP26 is to finalize the Paris Rulebook. Leaders will work together to frame a list of detailed rules that will help fulfill the Paris Agreement. Thank you.